Postmaster General Luis DeJoy, who was appointed by Donald Trump, had a pretty crazy moment at his congressional hearing today where he was being criticized by another Republican, mind you, being criticized for how he ran the Postal Service. And DeJoy responded by literally covering his ears, pretending to not listen.
We're graded by the United States people, and they don't use your service anymore. You bankrupt.
That is not true.
You bankrupt this through your reputation only. Through your reputation, you are responsible for the fall of the Postal Service and the lack of accountability.
Congress is responsible for the fall of the Postal Service.
So it's Congress.
I am trying to fix
on your
the Postal
watch
Service.
With all the AI.
Before my watch, the same stuff happened.
With all the AI, with all the computer systems, you're worse than if I took a horse and picked up the mail and delivered it 2 miles down the road. That's you. I hope you got that on camera. This is the response that the Postmaster just gave Congress when he doesn't like what he hears. Literally covered his ears and gave himself the grade of A. And with that, sir, I rest.
You're probably wondering, like me, why is DeJoy still the Postmaster General? Why hasn't President Biden, 4 years into his term, fired him and replaced him? And that's because the president doesn't get to do that with the Postmaster General. It is up to the Board of Governors, and that's supposed to insulate the Postmaster General from political interference from either party. But I think what's happening here is that Republicans and Donald Trump don't care about their ethics, and they don't care whether or not they look to like they're influencing, or whether or not they're influencing positions that they shouldn't be. Donald Trump did it with the FBI right away when he was elected the first time with the Russia investigation and Comey, and now he's doing it with Kash Patel and the FBI. So if you don't care about the Postmaster General and the post office, like, I understand, but this is representative of Donald Trump's major lapse in ethics on a much grander scale, and a scale that's going to impact Americans way more than the Postmaster General or the, delays in their mail. When Donald Trump is hand selecting, picking and choosing who gets investigated and who gets thrown in jail, that is when Congress is really going to lose its shit. And so that's why DeJoy can sit there in front of Congress and cover his ears and throw a mini tantrum because he doesn't care about Congress. He doesn't care about who's president. He is protected by the Board of Governors. Now, to really understand why DeJoy is a major problem for the post office and Americans, let's listen to Jamie Raskin break it down for us.
It seems that Postmaster DeJoy has failed to use all of this new discretion and resources effectively. His changes to the delivery network have resulted in a disastrous decline in on-time delivery in many regions of the country. And we members of Congress hear about it all the time from our constituents, the lost paychecks, the bills that go unpaid because they're never delivered, the business chaos, the personal disruptions. Bipartisan concerns now about DeJoy's plan changes prompted a delay in the activation of mail processing and delivery hubs through the end of the election and holiday season. The Postmaster General anticipated that these delays would be temporary and all in service of getting the Postal Service to break even financially. 3 years into his plan, however, the financial condition of the Postal Service is astoundingly bad and much worse than all of his initial projections. Postmaster DeJoy projected in his original Delivering for America plan that the Postal Service would reach break even by 2023 or 2024. Instead, the Postal Service's net loss of $950 million from operations in FY 2022 increased to a whopping $9.5 billion net loss in FY 2024. That's a 900% increase in the Postal Service's losses in a 2-year time span. Postmaster DeJoy's Delivering for America plan changed delivery standards for first-class mail from 2 to 3 days to 3 to 5 days. Mr. DeJoy claimed that the new standards would make it possible for the Postal Service to reach its 95% on-time mail delivery goals nationwide. Yet today, not a single one of the 50 Postal Service districts in the United States is meeting the Postal Service's self-designed 95% service standard. Meanwhile, the Postal Service increased prices for mail and packages in July. Another price increase for packages will go into effect, incredibly, in January of next year. In other words, under Mr. DeJoy's leadership, Americans are paying higher prices for worse service. More than 3 years into delivering for America's implementation, with more than 150 ongoing projects initiated to meet the Postmaster's goals, customers are still seeing a decline in mail delivery service, and they're paying higher costs for it. The Postmaster General's plan isn't working, but Mr. DeJoy continues to drive everything in the wrong direction. In the last month, the Postal Service announced its intention to lower service performance targets for FY 2025 by as much as 15% among certain first-class mail products, the lowest performance targets ever, excluding the COVID-19 period. Mr. DeJoy's leadership of the Postal Service is an alarming example of what we may see coming in the next term, sticking to the mega playbook of treating essential government functions with cavalier recklessness and ignoring the differences between a private sector company and a public good. I do want to take a moment to recognize and applaud the valiant efforts of postal management and employees to deliver election mail during the 2024 election season. I also want to commend Inspector General Hall for the office's exceptional audit work during the election season to ensure the Postal Service had ample resources and insights to promptly deliver election mail and make adjustments where necessary. When the Postal Service meets its mission, America benefits. And my colleagues and I all want the Post Office to work for our constituents and our communities. As the Postal Service works to build a resilient operation, it must fulfill its obligations to the people and ensure that we all have reliable mail delivery as a pillar of a successful American economy and society. I look forward to today's interaction, and I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Jamie Raskin doing what he always does there. So it seems as though DeJoy, who both Republicans and Democrats do not like, doesn't really care. And that is because Donald Trump has picked someone who behaves like himself, is a child, will throw tantrums, refuses to hear criticism, and is largely protected by the Board of Governors because Republicans and Donald Trump influenced them when they shouldn't, and now we're stuck with it. And that's why DeJoy feels comfortable doing this, feels confident doing this to members of Congress. So DeJoy is a lasting stain on America, just like Donald Trump is.